What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Untold Stories Athlete Edition. I'm your host, Briana Garcia, and we are in episode 6. I am super excited. It's been like 3 weeks since I've done my last podcast, and just having that holiday break reset was great, but I'm finally glad to be back in the studio doing my podcast and getting to know other Baylor student athletes. So for episode 6, I have someone that is so kind and amazing, and I'm so blessed to have him in my life, and is Philip Roxas. Hi, Philip. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Bree?
Good. I'm so excited for people to get to know your story and things like that. I think you have a lot to offer, not just to Baylor, but into people that you share life with. So I'm super excited for people to get to hear that.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. So at first, I go into some accolades, a little bit about Philip as well. So Philip is a senior out of Beaumont, Texas, and he went to West.
Yeah,
what
Beaumont,
high school?
Westbrook.
Beaumont, Westbrook.
Beaumont, Westbrook.
Beaumont Westbrook High School.
Yeah.
And I think it's super cool. I was reading like into his bio and stuff, and Philip has been involved in so many things. He was in choir, of course. He was in cross country. I didn't mention that. He's a cross country athlete.
Yes.
And he was a senior class president, and he was a part of student ministry. He was the president of that as well. So I think it's so cool that you were able to incorporate so many of your personality traits in so many different things. So yeah, and then going into cross country at Baylor University in 2019, Philip ran his career best 10K at the regional championship, which I think is insane because you're going up against some amazing athletes, and that's such a different stage competing, which is awesome. And then in 2020, Philip was a scoring runner for the Baylor team 3 out of the 4 meets, which is amazing. And he's also studying pre-health science studies, and you're going on the PT track, correct?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, well, awesome. So to start off my podcast, the first question I ask a student athlete is why they chose Baylor.
Well, I chose Baylor. My oldest sister, Pinielle, she actually went to Baylor back in 05 to like 08, so I grew up as Baylor Bear. I just remember when she moved in to Collins that I wanted to be here. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was like God, or just like I thought it was really cool that I was in a college campus. So I grew up as a Baylor Bear. Yeah, that was really the reason why. And as far as like student athlete wise and athlete wise, I mean, our old cross country coach gave me an opportunity to walk on my freshman year when I reached out to him my senior year of high school. So yeah, that's why I chose Baylor. Honestly, like, my sister went here, and the opportunity to walk on as a cross-country runner and be a part of a Division I program. I mean, I took it, and here I am.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the old cross-country coach Cap,
yes,
correct?
Yes.
He let you walk on to Baylor and join the team, right?
Yeah.
So how does that feel? I feel like a lot of other big universities won't just let athletes do that.
Yeah. First, he didn't really let me. He gave me the opportunity. So I tried out 3 times throughout my freshman year. So back in 2019, I tried out in the fall and twice in the spring of that year, my freshman year. So he was like, you can try out, see where you are. He gave me a training plan before I came in, which I was very grateful for. So again, like, it was very much a grind to do that, and 3 times he let me try out, and by the 3rd time he was like, I want you on this team. And yeah, so that was a journey for sure.
That's incredible. So when you came in fall of 2018, correct? When you came into college, you weren't on the team?
I was not. No.
Okay, and then did you reach out to him before coming in the fall, or when you got here in the fall? So you did? Okay, and then you weren't on the team during the fall season of 2018. So then in the spring, he was like, okay, I'm going to give you these workouts. You can try out, make maybe like a certain time or something like that.
So, yeah, so my senior year of high school, I reached out to him. I emailed him just like any other student athlete in high school. Email the coach. He was like, well, like, your times are not that good. I mean, it's all right, but if you want to try out. So he's like, you can try out. Gave me workouts prior to that summer going into freshman year, and gave me like just training, just some tips. So that fall, I got to try out at the Bear Twilight. Baylor hosts every fall. He was like, yeah, you can try out, see what you do. And he, right after that meet, he was like, well, we'll see 2 more times in the spring. and he actually gave me contact with one of the assistant coaches, Jordan West, and he was kind of like my go-to guy for training and just like advice and like how can I get to that level of being a Division I cross country runner. And then I tried out 2 more times in the spring, the Michael Johnson and then just the Baylor invite. And yeah, after the Michael Johnson, he was like, yeah, I'll give you the paperwork, and I started running fall 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how was that like experience for you? I feel like a lot of people, whenever they would just try one time and maybe it wasn't what they expected, they would just automatically give up. Especially like you're a student as well in a pre-PT track, like you're probably swamped with school and you're trying to earn a spot on the team. So how was that experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, that experience, like I know going in, again, going to Baylor, even talking to my parents, I told them I wanted to go here. First, I've always wanted to go to Baylor. But second, this opportunity Coach Cap gave me at the time. And I told him, like, I could have gone to, like, A&M just to be a student. That was, like, my 2 schools, A&M and Baylor. And really got me was, like, that opportunity. So going into college, I was like, I'm going to make this team. So it was, like, kind of that tunnel vision. You hear that stereotypical thing of doing. But literally, I remember just going, like, I'm going to make this team. I just got to do what I got to do. And the first meet turned out really well. I mean, past teammates of mine, I actually beat them there on the Baylor team then.
Yeah.
So I think I did really well the first trial, and I think the next 2 were kind of just like this thing he wanted to make sure that I can handle being a Division I athlete. But yeah, it did grow me. It was a lot of patience because after that first one, I was like, oh, I'm going to make it for sure. And it was like, well, like, we got to think about it and, like, just see how it works. It's like where we are as a team, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of perseverance. Again, that tunnel vision really taught me, like, okay, like, I'm going to get on this team, like, take every opportunity I can do and just show him what I can do. So very much of, like, a grind. I mean, again, stereotypical, but
yeah.
But going in, I had the intention, like, I'm going to try my best to see whatever, the opportunity Coach Cap gave me, and also God, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I never thought, and it's always been a dream. So
yeah, no, I know Philip, and I met you our freshman year, and I remember Andrew, one of our mutual friends, and he was like, yeah, he's like trying out on the team, and I'm like, wow, like that's hard. You know what I mean? And I didn't know about George, correct? The assistant coach.
Jordan.
Yes. I didn't know he was helping you as well. Like that was your main communicator. So that's so cool that former coach Cap was able to give you someone to contact because maybe he won't be around that much. And I think that's awesome that Baylor was able to provide that for you and you were able to grind out and not give up.
Yeah, it was like I lived at Martin, one of the halls there, and it was kind of, I was kind of known as the guy just keep on running around. People just saw me running around campus by myself, and built a lot of relationships through that. Just like, why are you running so much, Philip? I'm like, well, I'm trying to walk on the team, and I just, a lot of people knew me as the guy who was just running around campus and by himself and trying to like literally just grinding away my whole freshman year. And I mean, again, it taught me so much of like not wasting opportunity, staying focused. Again, shout out to Coach Cap for giving that opportunity. Like, I don't think, again, what you said, like, and not a lot of Division I and a lot of bigger schools give that opportunity. Just people were like, hey, can I join the team? And he gave that to me, and I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah. And do you think that tunnel vision and those things that you had when you were trying to join the team, has that been like this, like throughout the rest of the season? Like, have you noticed like, hey, maybe I'm not really persevering as much as I did at the beginning, or have you been just like growing and getting better in that?
Yeah, I mean, naturally, again, being at a Division I school, the training and just the things we get as student athletes here at Baylor, like I've gone better. Like I know I've gone stronger physically, mentally too. I mean, obviously there's always that first curve joining the team. You're kind of like, wait, am I supposed to be here? And especially as a walk-on, and not a lot of people knew on the team, the 2019 team, they're like, who is this guy? Like, so there was this like, also have to prove myself, but also prove to my team, like, yeah, like I walked on for a reason. Like I'm here to help y'all and like make the team better.
Yeah.
So it was for sure like a transition to like getting just like respect And but now, like, the perseverance wise, like, I think I still have that hunger. Still, like, grown so much again, like, physically, mentally too. I mean, we recently got a new head coach. So that's been kind of a transition my senior year. So he's been such an encouragement, Coach Barnett.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been implementing new things that's really pushed the team in a good direction.
Yeah,
so I
that's
think
awesome.
there's a different perspective on cross country here at Baylor and the program itself. So
yeah. And I know for cross country and track and field, it's very much so like an individual sport, but it's also a team sport. And I love how you said, you know, you're coming on this team to help people. But have you ever noticed, maybe yourself, maybe your other teammates, that, hey, this person is running for themselves. They need to be running for the team. Do you ever notice that, like, even on the track and field side of things as well?
Yeah, I mean, cross country, I think it is a beautiful sport where you're saying, like, it's cool. Like, first, like, it's just long distance runners, and we do bond so much. I think it is very much a team sport. I mean, we have to do well as a team, top 7 score, and each guy counts. Even if you're not in the top 7, like, how are you pushing the team in itself? And I think for sure it's a sport that, like, is very, very much individualized, but also just very much like you're grinding with the guys at 6 a.m. Like, not a lot of sports do that. Like, we all wake up at least 5:30, 5:45 in the morning, and we are expected to run 10 to 12 miles a day with the same guys, the same 15, 12 guys. And it's very much like, okay, we have to be on the same page. And I think for sure, and I don't think I'm boasting on myself, but I think the team culture when I joined, it was kind of rough with a lot of seniors who were kind of dragging it a little bit. And I think a reason why he brought me on the team is kind of just morale and just, like, be another implement of, like, how can we make this team better as a whole, rather be culture of, like, hey, we need people who want to be here. And I think I love those guys to death, but there was this, like, transition period of, like, okay, where is the team? Like, we're kind of, like, settling. So again, not trying to boast, I'm like, oh, I changed the culture, but again, I think it was just this attitude of, like, okay, for the next 3 or 4 years I'm going to be here. Like, how can I, you know, help the team, whether it be that I'd be the fastest guy or not, or just pushing the top 7 or pushing the top 5 or pushing the top 3 guys on this team.
And speaking of team culture, I know that you have led the team in a Bible study and with your beautiful voice and you could play instruments, you could do it all. And can you explain a little bit about that and, like, your faith and how it's, you know, progressed with cross country as well?
My faith is a big part of my life. Big part of, like, being a student athlete here at Baylor. I think that's another reason a lot of people come here is for the Christian culture, and that's implemented in the sports and the academics. So, I mean, being here at Baylor, for sure, my faith has grown a lot. Anyways, my own faith, I grew up in a Christian home. My dad's a pastor, actually, so I'm a pastor's kid, kind of always been in the church. So I've had that background of just, you know, knowing my Bible stuff and knowing what the gospel is. So I think growing up in that Christian household really just, like, evidently just, like, seeped in through my academics, seeped in through my sports. So I think in regards to sports, like, obviously God first and then people second and just sport third kind of thing, kind of just, like, mindset. As I was saying earlier, like, the opportunities I got, whether that be the tryouts or even the meets I got to run this past year, like, is very much an opportunity from the coaches, but also from God. Like, I never thought I would be, like, running here at Baylor, and it's always been a dream. Again, it's, like, totally a God thing. I'm so grateful for it. I feel like I'm all over the place. But anyways, just, like, I mean, my faith is very much a solid rock on which I stand when I'm running, and it's very much easy to get puffed up, but, you know, God really humbles me in everything I do, especially in running and long distance running specifically. It's, like, I think it's a cool representation of my own faith, which is, like, it's a marathon, not a sprint sometimes.
Exactly.
So, like, in regards to faith, and, like, it deals so much with my own sport. So it's, like, how each and every day, like, how can I like get closer to God, but also, you know, be perseverant and have faith in him every day. So
I know sometimes like I struggle with things. I feel like during like track season, I try to grow closer with God because, you know, it's very like, I'm always anxious. I'm always nervous. And I'm just like, oh, I pray to God that I can persevere in this race and do really well and things like that. And I also wanted to touch on how you were saying how you like to make like the team better. I feel like a lot of people always think you have to be good to contribute for your team. Yeah. And I think it's good that you know that there's other things, you know what I mean? Especially with track, like if someone does really well and you don't, you can be like, oh, I pushed that person in practice. So like, I'm the reason why they did good. And sometimes just putting that in your head can, I mean, you can be optimistic and it helps a lot and things like that. So I think that is super cool and that you know that. So
I mean, what you're saying, like, you know, it's, you get closer to God when you're in like your season to perform well. Like it's nerve wracking, it's anxious. And two, like for me, like obviously like kind of a pre-meet, it's like, oh, it's like, you know, I gotta like just kind of get angry a little bit. You kind of got to have this edge. You're like, oh, Philip, you better do this, or you gotta be this person, or and sometimes it becomes like this like pride thing a little bit. And what I was saying earlier is kind of like God really humbles me. It's like, no, take this as an opportunity. You know, like not a lot of people can do this. You know what we do, right? And represent Baylor University, like a known name around the nation. And just it's sometimes like you get lost in your head. Sometimes whether it be anxiousness or like being anxious or being like, for me, it's like, oh, I have to do me. Yeah. And forget why am I doing it, you know, and be in that space of like, okay, like I'm doing this for the Lord and doing this for God. Cause again, he's giving me this opportunity, giving us this opportunity to perform, not for our own glory, but for God's glory. Right. So anyways, I can go on a tangent about that, but yeah, I think it's humbling, and you know, we might not be the fastest people on our team or even on the track, but like it's always good to like, okay, we can bring morale, be an optimist to our teammates, whether that be encouraging them through Christ or just being an encouragement in itself. And I know you do that well. So
thank you. I'm working on it. There's definitely things that I can definitely grow in. But okay, I'm gonna ask you a hard question. It might not be hard for you, but I just feel like it suits this. I wanted to ask you, what do you feel like your purpose is, not just in your sport, but in life with anything?
Wow, that's a deep thing. I mean, I feel like we're seniors now, and it's kind of like, what is our purpose? It's kind of a deep question, because I feel like if you don't really know until we know, you know? Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a basic answer, but for sure, we're talking about faith, and everything I do. And when I talk about my faith, when I think of like what my purpose is, I think about my mom a lot, because my mom is for sure a person who like influenced my faith. Because like growing up from the ages of like 10 till I was 18, a senior in high school, I went to this like Monday night Bible study with her called Bible Study Fellowship. It's called BSF. And we like did a joint thing where we like we study a book of the Bible the whole school year. And I just remember doing it through this time of my life, or like we have to do like these assignments. And my mom was like, Philip, remember, everything you do for the glory of God. I'm like, okay, Mom, like I don't want to do this right now. I'm like, I'm a second grade. And she kind of like conned me into doing this Bible study with her when I was 10. She's like, oh, there'll be basketball there. Like you can play and then do the Bible study stuff last. And I was like, okay. But turned out to just be Bible study with just a bunch of old people. And I was literally the only boy out of my like kids group. And she kind of conned me in it. But anyways, I'm so grateful for that, because a lot of my faith and a lot of my purpose and like what I'm supposed to do, right? It's, again, her voice is always in the back of my mind, because she would just remind me, Philip, do everything for the glory of God. I'm like, okay, Mom, all right, I don't want to do this right now, but, you know. So, and my mom, Sonia, in her own words, just everything I do for the glory of God, that's my purpose, right? Whatever be like track or hopefully being a physical therapist, I know I want to do that. I mean, that's another part of my purpose. A unique way to, you know, help people. But yeah, I mean, anything I do for the glory of God, and I have to remind myself that. And yeah, I think that's my purpose. That's my will.
I love it.
So, Yeah.
That's awesome. And moms are the best.
I know.
They don't realize it.
I know.
I literally just texted my mom like 2 nights ago. I was like, you know what? I feel like no one tells you this enough, but I really appreciate you. And she was like, are you going through a phase right now? I was like, no, I love you.
Phase of loving you?
I know. Alrighty. Well, thank you. Just for like the last part of the podcast, I asked Sikkim 365 just to ask questions for the podcast about you, whatever it may be. Some people's questions are a little different, but
Good.
I'm really bad at saying people's names. So for the first one is As Does It. Jack probably doesn't know. He asked, there are 3 questions.
Oh, okay.
They're very simple. How many miles do you log a week?
Okay. All right.
Okay, you can answer that.
So when I joined the team, and again, kind of this like Division 1 like growth of physicality, I started off around like 50 to 55 miles a week.
Jesus.
And then
Oh my gosh.
now as a senior and being on the team for about 3 years, I'm about 65, 75 miles a week. So kind of just 20 miles
That's
increased.
awesome.
So yes, 65 to 75 right now.
And then he asked, how many calories do you eat a day and what's your favorite food?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know the calories. So J Buzz.
Uh-huh.
And
Jay
when
Buzz is our nutritionist.
Yes, her nutritionist. Shout out to J Buzz. But for calories, I don't keep the amount of calories like logged.
Yeah.
Because J Buzz is like, yeah, you don't really need to watch your calories because y'all are cross country runners. You run miles on miles every day, so you lose a bunch of calories. So as a cross country runner, I kind of just she was like, just make sure you're eating carbs, your protein, and just a balanced meal because you lose so much when you run. So if I had to estimate it in one meal, I'd say, wait, did he say a day or per meal?
He said a day.
I'd say at least like, is 8,000 calories a lot?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's too much.
8,000 calories
like,
a day? I would say like maybe you'd be like 3,000.
3,000. Okay, 8,000 is kind of a lot, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, 1,000,000 calories.
You would be.
I absolutely just love calories, just by the millions. No, yeah, okay, 3,000 then.
That's what I would guess.
Okay.
Because like y'all are burning so much
Yeah.
that y'all need to refuel. And then
Yeah.
what's your favorite food?
Ooh, I love Italian food. Absolutely love carbs,
Me too.
especially pasta. Like, I don't know this TMI, but I just like have this dream of just like having my own like small pasta shop
Oh, that's not weird.
in the near future. Well, I mean not near future. Again, a dream. Maybe in Italy, small town.
That'd be so
Have my own pasta. That's why I love pasta so much.
It is really good. Okay, my next question. Actually, it's my last question. It's from Ashley. Shout out to Ashley Hodge. He always puts some questions up on Sikkim 365. Thank you. He said, is the dopamine endorphin hit worth it? And at what distance does it kick in?
So the dopamine, so kind of like that running high
Yep.
you get. Is it worth it? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've been running long distance for about 10 years of my life. So, yeah.
Do you get it every time you run?
Yeah, I feel like now since I'm, at this level of, I've been doing for so long, I kind of just don't notice it as much. Sounds kind of like a drug. Like,
It must be nice.
I kind of just like, at first I'm like feeling bad, but you start to find your groove. So when I'm feeling that groove, I'm feeling good and like having conversations with my teammates, whether it be like a long run or something. It's kind of like at mile 4 or 5 where I'm like, oh, I feel good. And like we're smiling, we're laughing around doing our runs.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Oh, they also like talk. Y'all talk so much when y'all run.
Yeah.
I would literally, if I ran next to y'all, I'd be like, shut up. Let me just run.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think that's crazy.
Yeah. I think that's like that dopamine, that running high. That's kind of, I just don't really think about it anymore, but it kind of just.
I've gone it one time.
Just
At mile 4. Yeah, because I ran like 6 miles. But then after that run, I literally felt like a semi-truck hit me.
Yeah.
So I definitely could see it being mile 4.
Yeah.
But alrighty. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
What a great story to get to know you. And we get to start track season soon.
so exciting.
Indoor and outdoor season. So hopefully people will come out and
come out,
some people
support.
will know who you are. So that'd be
Yeah.
super cool that they
Yeah.
get to know that you're not just a runner. You have this faith aspect and you have this perseverance that a lot of athletes have, but it shows in different ways, and it definitely shows whenever you're running, which I love. But if you want to listen to the podcast or watch it, you can watch it on YouTube at the Untold Stories Athlete Edition, and then you can listen to it at the Untold Stories Athlete Edition as well. And for more updates, it will be on the Sikkim 365 forum. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.